So last time we left off, we were working on getting the trans reluctor rings out, and we welded them up, put them on a couple fan motors down here. We got the air gap set on the sensors so we could actually get a speed reading out of it. We hooked those motors into our ignition system on the dyno, so we can just hit a switch in there whenever we put it in drive, and it will start spinning those and we get a speed reading. That allowed us to finally get a full pull out of the engine. So after that, we just started cleaning things up, got a lot of the wiring off the floor, and the mess that was kind of over here is all gone now. Got our harnesses extended for the ignition, the park selector, or the gear selector switch out of the trans, and then the cluster, and then the steering wheel to kind of cycle through all the messages that pop up on there. Got all that ran into the dyno control room over there. Can't think of what else.
That's about it for in here.
Yeah. We no longer have the transmission in here. Only thing we ended up needing out of it was the TCM, which was part of the valve body. So that's mounted up down there. Only thing really running to it was the gear selector and then the two speed sensors for the input and output. When we initially got it running and went to do our first kind of test pull on it, this engine came out of a wrecked car. It was hitting the front end, so this was the front of the vehicle, and it kind of shoved everything back. The intercooler was broken. What we didn't realize was this hard line here coming from the outside of the intercooler and then up to the intake was cracked on the backside. So once we started doing our pull and it was getting into the higher RPM, more boost, it blew this whole piece of pipe off. And yeah, so we ended up having to get a new pipe as well because it cracked, and then it finally just blew the whole piece out of it. Ended up getting this side as well because it was kind of, the turbo that was on here was bent. So we ended up replacing that and all the piping, intercooler, and everything as well. So now we don't have to stand out there and do everything. We can do all of our starting from in here. Brake switch. We don't have the power hooked up.
Oh. Duh. So in here, while he's doing that, we ended up bringing the steering wheel in here, the instrument cluster, and then made this little bracket. Here's the park switch here. It's either applied there, or we can put this little pin in so that it's not applied. Your gear selector's there, so you can change it from park into drive and back. Makes it a little easier. We don't have to fumble around as much trying to hold everything. We've gotten it to run with no check engine light, a couple traction control things, but
Survived the pull.
made 182 foot-pounds and 163 horsepower.
Try another one. It's a little lower than what we had been getting.
For a bit.
Usually it, for some reason, It doesn't like to do pulls like immediately back to back. It'll throw an underboost code. So we found out that as long as it's warmed up, we'll do a pull, let it sit for a couple minutes after the pull, and then we'll do another one, and it usually will let us do multiple pulls. Let's try it again.
Shift that off so it sounds a little cooler. Hear it. Looks like it was warming up, made a little bit more power this time. 213 foot-pounds and 171 horsepower.
Which that's pretty close to the manufacturer specs. I think manufacturer calls out for like 170 horsepower, and I think it's like 203 foot-pounds of torque. So we're pretty close to specification. So now that we've got the engine running, we've done test pulls to confirm that everything works properly. We've got our data logger is running. Everything we really needed to do to get this from the vehicle to the dyno to prepare it for testing. It's all done. We've got our test plan now. Ready to start doing the whole case study on it. So we're all good to go.